In life, there are moments when words spoken quietly hold more weight than the loudest storms. They enter the mind not as commands but as seeds that may grow into doubt, control, or silence. It is often not the shout that harms you, but the whisper that makes you question your worth. Today, we enter the temple of awareness, not of the body, but of the soul. Not for attack, but for protection. When a man speaks, observe not only the meaning of his words, but the energy behind them. The intention, the pattern. Some words carry light, others shadow. A person may smile with his lips and still wound with his tongue. The true martial art is not only in fighting for your peace, but in walking away when your peace is threatened, without needing permission, apology, or explanation. A wise person once said, "Do not guard your body and leave your mind open to harm." We train our bodies, sharpen our focus, and learn discipline in the physical realm. But how often do we defend our hearts? How often do we protect the peace inside us from those who speak with sweet poison? It's not about being overly cautious. It's about understanding the signs, the verbal red flags that many ignore until the damage is done. There are certain phrases a man might say, calmly, carelessly, or even with charm, that carry within them the seeds of manipulation, disrespect, and control. And if you hear them, you don't need to argue. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't even need to wait for a second offense. You simply walk away, because your energy, your dignity, and your emotional safety are not up for negotiation. Every path begins with a single step, but so does every fall. The wrong person doesn't always arrive with fists. They arrive with phrases. They erode your confidence slowly. They chip away at your boundaries under the disguise of love, honesty, or concern. And by the time you notice the damage, you're standing in the ruins of yourself, wondering how it happened. So we must train, not just to fight, but to feel, to notice the small shifts in energy, to hear the tone beneath the words, to recognize when you are being dimmed, not challenged, when you are being belittled, not advised, and when a man tells you who he is. Through these 5 statements, you listen the first time, because self-mastery does not mean enduring everything. It means knowing when to walk away with strength, with silence, and with self-respect intact. This is not about blame, it is about clarity. The most powerful protection in life is not armor, it is awareness. And today, we will train that awareness together, not with fear, but with quiet courage. Let us begin. These words may seem harmless at first glance, but beneath them lies a blade, subtle, sharp, and quiet. When a man says this, he is not pointing out your emotion with compassion, he is silencing it with dismissal. The phrase is not a reflection of your emotional state, it is a tactic to create self-doubt within you. It's an attempt to tell you that your feelings are invalid, that your boundaries are exaggerated, and that your reactions are somehow flawed. But emotion is not weakness. Sensitivity is not a burden, it is your compass. And when someone attempts to twist that compass, confusion follows. The disciplined mind understands that emotion is part of awareness. Just as the body feels pain when it's wounded, the heart sends signals when it's disrespected. But instead of acknowledging those signals, a manipulative voice calls them an overreaction, and slowly you begin to shrink. You begin to question not only the situation but yourself. Was I too harsh? Was I imagining things? Maybe I am too emotional. This is the doorway they hope you'll walk through, the one where you start doubting your own truth. In ancient teachings, clarity of the mind begins with silence, but not the kind that suppresses. It is the silence that listens. Sensitivity allows you to listen to life, not only through logic but through energy. When someone says, "You're too sensitive," what they may be doing is trying to control the narrative. It is not your sensitivity that disrupts peace, it is their discomfort with being held accountable. And so they project that discomfort onto you. Self-awareness is cultivated in many ways, but one of the most profound is knowing the difference between self-reflection and self-blame. The one who consistently tells you that you're too sensitive isn't trying to help you grow. They're trying to avoid responsibility. And while words can be soft, they can also be calculated. When repeated enough, these subtle jabs mold your behavior. You stop speaking up. You start suppressing emotion. You become a version of yourself that is easier for them to control. A sensitive soul sees more, feels more, understands more. That is a strength. It's the ability to notice small shifts in tone, body language, energy. It's the ability to feel someone's unspoken pain or their hidden resentment. But in the hands of the wrong person, that gift becomes a target. So when you are told you're too sensitive, pause. Ask yourself, who benefits from me doubting myself right now? Who gains power when I second guess my own emotions? Sensitivity is not something you must apologize for. It is not a flaw you need to fix. It is a light within you that demands careful tending. You are not too sensitive. You are aware. You are alive. And the man who uses this phrase is not challenging you. He is avoiding something within himself. The words are not about your depth. They are about his discomfort. The lesson is not to harden your heart. The lesson is to protect it with understanding. No one else would love you like I do. These words are not a compliment. They are a cage. At first they may sound romantic, even passionate, like a declaration of deep love. But listen closely. Hidden within this phrase is a subtle message of possession, not devotion. It's not about lifting you up. It's about limiting your vision, making you believe that your worth is dependent on the person who said it. It's a psychological thread that quietly ties your sense of value to one person's validation, and once it's tied, it pulls tighter every time you try to breathe on your own. When a man says this, he's not just making a statement. He's creating a reality, one where you believe that love is scarce and you are lucky just to be tolerated. This is not love. This is emotional conditioning. The man who tells you no one else will love you like he does is not empowering you. He's isolating you. He wants you to forget your own light so that his dim glow seems like the only source of warmth. And slowly, you start doubting your ability to be seen, to be cherished, to be chosen by anyone else. That is exactly what this phrase is designed to do. Love should never come with fear. But when this line is used, fear creeps in dressed as loyalty. You begin to tolerate disrespect because you think it's the price of being loved at all. You begin to question your standards, dismiss your intuition, and accept emotional crumbs while calling it a feast. This is not connection. This is quiet control. And what makes it so dangerous is that it sounds like love while doing the work of manipulation. The disciplined heart sees clearly. It does not accept love that cages. It does not mistake possession for passion. In true strength, we understand that real love never insists that it is your only chance. Real love says, you are valuable with or without me. It uplifts your freedom, not your fear. It nurtures your growth, not your dependence. When a man insists that only he can love you properly, he is not praising you. He is attempting to replace your confidence with his permission. There is a wisdom in walking away from anyone who paints your world in limitation. The soul knows its own worth. It does not need to be told that love is rare and must be hoarded. It knows that love is abundant, that connection is mutual, and that the right love will never force you to shrink to fit its mold. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that being tolerated is the same as being treasured. But the heart knows the difference, and no matter how polished the words may sound, when they echo with control instead of compassion, the awareness within you must awaken. Words like these are not just said, they are used. They are tools, not truths. And if left unchecked, they begin to shape your inner world, rewriting the story of what love is supposed to feel like. You're overreacting. It's not a big deal. These are not just words, they are erasers, meant to wipe away the truth of your experience. When a man says this to you, he's not helping you regulate your emotions. He's instructing you to distrust them. It's a subtle dismissal disguised as concern, a way of making your pain, your confusion, or your discomfort seem like the problem, instead of looking at the situation that caused it. And in that moment, the focus shifts from what was said or done to how you responded. That shift is where emotional manipulation begins. There is a fine line between helping someone find calm and telling them that their reaction is invalid. When a man says you're overreacting, what he may be doing is deflecting responsibility. He wants the tension to go away, but not through healing, through suppression, not through understanding, but through your silence. And slowly, the more you hear this phrase, the more you begin to question your instincts. You hesitate before expressing yourself. You wonder if you're too dramatic, too emotional, too much. This is not growth. This is the beginning of self-erasure. The disciplined mind understands that emotional reactions are signals. They don't always point to weakness. They point to something deeper that needs attention. When you're hurt, you're not reacting for no reason. When you're upset, it's not because you enjoy conflict. But when someone minimizes your reaction, they're telling you that your internal signals are broken, that your response doesn't match the reality. And if you believe that long enough, You stop trusting yourself. That is the true damage behind these words. In ancient practices, awareness is not about detachment from emotion. It's about connection to truth. When someone tells you that you're overreacting, they are asking you to replace your truth with their comfort. They are trying to create a world where their actions are always reasonable and your feelings are always excessive. This is not balance. It is control. A relationship should allow space for emotions, for vulnerability, for honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then. Real strength does not lie in the ability to dismiss pain but in the willingness to understand it. When someone truly values you, they do not question the validity of your feelings. They lean in, they ask, why do you feel that way? Not why are you making this such a big deal? There's a profound difference between the two. One is rooted in connection. The other, in control. A man who repeatedly tells you that you're overreacting is not helping you manage emotion. He's helping you bury it, and buried emotions don't disappear. They grow in silence, and they return in ways far heavier than they began. You are not here to be edited into silence. You are not a mirror for someone else's comfort. You are a full experience, emotion, reason, instinct, awareness, and none of it is too much. The truth is not always convenient, but it is always sacred. When your feelings are dismissed, you are being asked to sacrifice clarity for calm, honesty for convenience, presence for peace that only serves one side. If you really loved me, you'd. This phrase is not a request, it's a trap. It's a carefully constructed test designed not to strengthen love, but to manipulate it. When a man says this, he is not asking for connection. He is demanding compliance. He is placing love on the bargaining table, turning something sacred into a transaction. Love should never be a condition you must prove through self-sacrifice, discomfort, or abandonment of your own boundaries. And yet these words are often spoken with a soft voice, as if they are harmless, as if they come from a place of deep feeling. But beneath them lies an unspoken threat, the idea that if you don't act according to his wishes, your love is in question. This kind of manipulation thrives in silence. It wraps itself in emotional language and makes you feel that denying the request means denying the relationship. Suddenly, you're not just declining to do something, you're being accused of failing love itself. That weight is heavy, that pressure is real, and many begin to bend under it. You may start saying yes to things you're uncomfortable with, all in the name of proving love. You may quiet your intuition, suppress your needs, and stretch your boundaries just to protect the illusion of harmony. But harmony built on emotional blackmail is not harmony at all. It is captivity. In disciplined awareness, we recognize that true love is not tested by ultimatums. It does not need you to break yourself in pieces to earn its presence. It does not say, do this or else. It says, I see you and I respect where you stand. When a man begins his sentence with, if you really loved me, he is trying to turn your heart into a lever. And with every pull, he hopes to shape you into something that fits his narrative. Not out of partnership, but out of control. And what makes this dangerous is that it's cloaked in the language of closeness. Genuine love honors your freedom. It does not seek to cage you in decisions that benefit one person at the expense of the other. It does not exploit your desire for connection by turning it into a tool for manipulation. Love in its highest form is an invitation, not an ultimatum. It allows space for both voices, not just one. It allows room for questions, not just commands. When someone tells you, if you really loved me, you'd, they are not asking you to love them better. They are asking you to abandon your truth to satisfy their demands. And over time, this pattern trains you to equate love with discomfort, sacrifice, and quiet suffering. A heart that is constantly tested becomes exhausted. It begins to live in fear of rejection, not in the light of mutual respect. You begin to measure your love by how much you've given up, instead of how much you've grown. And in that space, love no longer feels like a sanctuary. It feels like a negotiation where only one side gets to win. You're lucky I put up with you. These words are not a sign of tolerance. They are a display of superiority. They are designed to make you feel small, indebted, and ashamed for simply being yourself. When a man says this, he's not expressing patience or endurance. He's declaring that your presence in his life is a burden, and that his continued acceptance of you is a gift you must be grateful for. This is not love. This is emotional manipulation masked as honesty. It is a tactic to place himself on a pedestal while placing you on trial for your very existence. Over time, this phrase plants doubt in your mind. You begin to question whether you are difficult to love, whether you are too emotional, too flawed, too much. You start internalizing the idea that your needs, your mistakes, or even your personality are things others must put up with, instead of embrace. This is how self-worth erodes, not in loud moments of rejection, but in subtle attacks like this that make you feel unworthy of unconditional care. In a healthy connection, no one keeps score. No one tallies up faults as weapons to be used later. True love is not about tolerating someone. It's about accepting them, growing with them, seeing them not as a burden, but as a blessing. When someone tells you that you're lucky they put up with you, they are setting themselves above you, turning the relationship into a power imbalance where gratitude becomes a silent obligation. And in that imbalance, they control not just the narrative but your sense of value. The disciplined spirit understands that every human has imperfections, but those imperfections are not liabilities. They are part of your depth. A man who truly honors you will not remind you of your flaws as though he's doing you a favor by staying. Instead, he will stand beside you with humility, acknowledging that both of you are on a journey, learning, evolving, healing. To suggest that love is a burden he must carry is to suggest that you are not worthy of being loved freely. That is not a truth. It is a control mechanism designed to keep you small and silent. This phrase also creates a false sense of debt. You may begin to feel like you owe him for his time, his effort, his mere presence. And when someone feels indebted in a relationship, they stop asking for what they need. They stop setting boundaries. They stop honoring themselves, because now love has become a contract, and you are the one in breach every time you act in a way that he disapproves of. This is not a partnership. It is emotional servitude dressed as commitment. The truth is, no one should ever make you feel like loving you is an act of charity. You are not lucky to be tolerated. You are worthy of being embraced. Not despite who you are, but because of who you are. Anyone who sees you as something to put up with has already decided they are above you. And when superiority enters the relationship, respect silently leaves. When words are used not to connect but to control, you must learn to hear beyond their surface. These 5 phrases are not just careless expressions, they are signals. Signals that reveal a deeper truth about a man's intent, his respect for you, and his readiness for real love. You are not here to be convinced of your worth, nor to earn basic kindness dressed as sacrifice. You are here to walk in truth, to honor your emotional wisdom, and to protect the peace that took years to build within you. When a man speaks in ways that diminish, dismiss, or devalue your spirit, do not wait for more evidence. Do not argue with your own intuition. Trust it. You are not too sensitive. You are not hard to love. You are not lucky to be tolerated. You are enough. And sometimes the strongest move is not to fight, but to walk away with your dignity untouched and your heart still whole.